Is team training enough to develop as a soccer player?
If you look, let's say in Ontario and in other provinces, what we call the high performance leagues and the player development league or whatever, typically those teams are only training 3 or 4 days per week. And the intensity and the overall load of many of those training sessions is very low. I can't speak for everybody, but what I can say is I've conducted almost 15,000 fitness tests on youth players in Canada at every level, from the lowest, house league and recreational, up through all the high performance leagues, provincial program, professional academy, and national team. And almost everybody, except those at the top level, is out of shape. Their yo-yo test, which is an excellent predictor of the capacity to do high intensity running. I wrote my PhD thesis on it, so I've studied it a lot. And the yo-yo test scores of Canadian youth players are very low. So there's no way that these players are training with enough volume and intensity, meaning with enough load throughout the week in order to build fitness optimally because their fitness is low. So back to your question, is the regular team training enough? No, it's not even close. In general, certainly by the time players are in, let's say, the 7th grade, 14 years of age, but even earlier than that, soccer players need to be active and exercising every day. And in fact, many hours every day. Now there's iPads, there's apps, there's all kinds of other things that kids are doing. And so they're spending a lot more time in front of screens, a lot less time being active, both in school and after school. And the soccer training is not intense enough. It's probably not practical for teams to be training 5 or 6 days a week. They have to rent fields and they have costs and logistics and all that to deal with. So that's where supplemental training comes in. And if we expect our young soccer players in those teenage years to eventually become good enough, what we need from these kids is we need them to be in an environment where they're training hard 6 days a week. There needs to be optimal periodization in sports science. The weekly load needs to look like this, like a wave. So you have 2 or 3 days where the load is high every week, and then from one cycle to the next, the load has to get higher and higher. Because if you understand periodization and loading, you can manage the load so that the increases in load are incremental. The players don't get it with the clubs, and they never will. Why is there a market for other supplemental training? Again, because coaches in a team environment, they cannot work with individual players. Even if they had the knowledge and the capacity to do it, they can't. Logistically, they can't. Even if they're good players, they won't develop and be competitive at the highest level because there's a gap there.
Loving this combo? We're breaking down even more insights live on my upcoming free webinar, where I'll teach you exactly how to become a top tier trainer and build a real soccer business. Hit the link in the bio to sign up.